Hey guys, this is Matt for Creative. Now today we're talking about a story that is kind of relevant, well, I think to a lot of people, including myself. Bernie Sanders has dropped out and he just endorsed Joe Biden today. So, election, that's going to be in November. There's going to be a few months where there's going to be a lot of political back and forth, but now it is the presumptive Democratic candidate Joe Biden against the current president Donald Trump. So everything is sorted out. There's going to be no in-party fighting. It's all going to be on one party against the other party. If you know anything about me, I don't like the two-party system. I think it dumbs it down. I always vote for the candidate that I believe is best, the law that I believe is best, the idea that they have that is best at the time. Because everything changes. You may call it flip-flopping, but in reality, if you are a political player, a political candidate, you have to stand fast. But if you are somebody who is impacted by what a politician does or what laws do in general, you have to go with what works currently for you and your situation, because it's all about self-preservation. It's all about what you do for yourself, for your country, for your community, for your locality, for the entire world, and what's most important for you. So that's my little take on how I personally vote, how I look at things. But of course, everybody's completely different. This is just going to be a little bit of a notion where now it's the two parties, at least in the United States here. It's going to be Republican incumbent against Democrat, hoping to take down the incumbent. I've been looking at a lot of information. I don't do research in myself, and that research is, you have to look at papers, you have to do a lot of work. And in simplistic terms, I can call that research just in the sense that I'm looking at different articles. Right now, I'm looking at the New York Times, CNN, Fox News. I'm looking at every outlet that I can that's out there. I'm looking at rumors, on Facebook. I'm looking at fact-based news from all sources that I can, like little local ones, big, wide national corporations that, distribute news and tell you what's going on. And over the next few months, it's going to be a little bit complicated going through each and every news piece that we will find out. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of ups and downs no matter who your candidate is, but this is going to be a very, very interesting presidential election in the United States, because what used to be a fault with a candidate no longer is that for whomever the candidate will be. But some people do have this precedent going in where they have more of an allowance. And I would like to say that would be Donald Trump. If Donald Trump does not do something that is correct from another side, from against the side that you're on, you may think, okay, he's done something bad, something should be done. And normally that's done because even a president's followers, they kind of have to adhere by some kind of morality or political sense, because if you hurt the party, you hurt everybody in the party, and they kind of have to protect themselves. So if a president does something that's not quite right, the party kind of has to correct itself. But in this case, it seems that Donald Trump has everything flipped the other way around. Now, in politics, this is great. This is what you want to happen. You want to be directing where the party goes, not the other way around. Usually it is the other way. So in that sense, it is something that you have never really seen before, other than maybe some smaller localities, towns, maybe a state, where people really, they will follow into action whatever the head does. No matter if it's something that maybe isn't right or is right. It's a little bit complicated to see, because this is going to be the first full election where you have a president who has made mistakes just like everybody out there, but has made mistakes and there has been no course correction. It's unapologetically, I have made the mistake, and there is nothing that you can do about this. There is nothing that the party is going to do about this. There's nothing that the media is going to do about this, because the media will report something. In this specific case, Donald Trump will say first it is false. It is not factual, even if the media does come up with facts that would counter what the president is saying, or I guess in any case, anybody is saying. It's just hard to kind of pinpoint how this election will go. I may be getting sidetracked here, but in the case of Joe Biden, who has many faults in himself, kind of is seen as a moderate Democrat, almost on the same level as Donald Trump from his detractors. When he makes a mistake, when he does something, I guess something small and messes up in the media will go after him, but there is no, he is still being controlled by the party in itself, just like most candidates are. And let's say Donald Trump and Joe Biden make the exact same mistake in a bubble, so they don't interact, in the media sense. Most likely Donald Trump is going to discount it, say that the source of that information is false. If it is proven true in some way or form, then he'll just say, next story, or just, it does not matter. And most of all, because of all the mistakes and stories that have come out, the news just goes over to the next and the next and the next and the next, because when you are a president in the United States, it really is, unless you were impeached and then out of office, the little stories, they will not really affect things as long as you are in office. But when you have the possibility of getting another term, things kind of shift. In this case, I don't think that things are shifting either. But then again, let's go back to Joe Biden, him making the same mistake. He will lose followers. Even his own followers will say, hey, this is not the candidate that I wanted. I would like maybe Bernie Sanders, even though he just dropped out. He just endorsed Joe Biden. He just dropped out. He doesn't have that kind of forgivable nature, even though he was vice president for 8 years. Of course, not being the very top, but vice president, right under president. Media has changed greatly. Social media has changed also. It's very hard to see what is going to be something that takes somebody down and pulls somebody else up in this election, because the news media, the CNN, the Fox News, the New York Times, all of them together, they have to start adjusting to how people see things. And to put it simply, people see things the way that they want to, more than ever now. There are always going to be facts, there is always going to be opinion, but now more than ever, everything is going to be all together and one. You're going to have your opinion on something, I'm going to have my opinion on something, and that is going to greatly dictate how we see a news story presented. If we see something on Facebook, on Instagram, on any place online that you can actually comment on the story, you'll put your comment there. You'll retract it because you either have all the information and you've done your best at doing research, or you don't have any information. People will see all these flutterings of, hey, I like this story, or I don't like this story, and it's stupid, or it's great, thank you for putting this up there, and it kind of all gets lost in the mess of the amount of stories and the commentary on those stories. So how does a news media outlet come and distribute news the right way? If you look at a CNN, if you look at the New York Times, and I guess in some cases, yes, Fox News, they're going to have the story. Then they're going to have their source or sources, and they're going to display them so that people can read them. Then you're going to have smaller localities and news corporations that are going to try to do the same thing, although they don't have the reach that these larger corporations do. They're going to display the same information. They're going to have different writers, maybe talk about things in a different way. Lower than that is going to be blog and vlogs like this. It's going to be people who have seen everything. They've seen the rumors, they've seen the news stories. They are constantly bombarded with these stories that you don't know exactly what is true. Because to the best of your ability, now you may be a political scientist, and if you are, you just have to remember that not everybody is. Not everybody went to college to practice politics, to analyze politics, to be in politics. You have to know that your audience is, while it's not saying uneducated, is that they don't have the same time or maybe drive to throw themselves into each specific story. So you're only going to get to nick the surface if you're a casual person looking at political stories. And I think this is why somebody like Donald Trump, the president, can actually maybe make a real mistake and then get away with it and then move on to the next story, because there are so many stories out there. Whether you do the right thing or do the wrong thing, it's just going to be, you will see that people will either get riled up in support or riled up against, and then there will be something else. There's always going to be something else. There's going to be large stories like this, like the pandemic that is going around here in the entire world, to be a distraction. But even when there's not something like this, there's going to be things like sports. There's going to be things like natural disasters. There's going to be things like, positive stories that, make you want to think and, bring joy to your life. There's always going to be these distractions. But when you have a job, when you have something that's not in politics and you need to find out what's going on, you don't have the time to delve. So it really does matter where you get your news from. Again, it's just because what I have on here: New York Times, CNN, Fox News, CBS, MSNBC, so many, Politico, ABC News. There's so many places, because just to let you know, when I typed in the story onto Google, because this is where I source my information, I know you can use Bing, you can use, I think it's DuckDuckGo, you can use many different places to source your information. So many different platforms are displaying the same news, but they're going to have their own, as much as you'd like to say there is no bias, they're going to have a bias in what you see. And then if you kind of get flooded with the same stories under the same type of bias, that's going to most likely feed into your perception of that story. And then that is where you're going to have to go off of. Your perception is going to be everything. And how you get to that is going to be how you as a person, myself as a person, is going to impact the next election. So this is going to be the beginning of a political commentary, the analyzation, to the best of my ability, and just everything that I can do in my mind to educate the viewer. That I know we've been going on for about 14 minutes, hopefully doing this in quicker little bite-sized things so we can get the point across and have it be in a way that can be digested and will actually get facts out to the people. Again, to the best of my ability. There are rumors, there are detractions, there are stories that turn out to be false, even though they do have sources. Again, to the best of my ability, I will try to deliver. I will try to get other people out here who have maybe different mindsets. They come from maybe different places. They have seen different things. I think it is the best thing to have dialogues with so many of these people. So if you're one of them, if you live in New York, if you would like to talk, find me. I'm on Instagram at m8b9. You can email me at matt8b9@gmail.com. I know normally I do different content. This channel was started on just product reviews, and literally I've been doing some other things, but never within this channel. This channel is going to turn to basically everything. There will be this political sense, there will be travel, there will be reviews, there will be everything like that. So if you're up for that mix, I'm going to be creating that here too. But coming back to what we first started, Sanders endorses Biden. There are a lot of Bernie Sanders fans out there. They have their own opinion. Optically, this is what had to be done for the Democratic Party, because whether or not Bernie Sanders actually endorses Joe Biden and actually agrees with what he is saying, it had to be done. It works out that it has to be done, or else the party is fractured and you will not get the votes to take down the incumbent president. It's something that has to be done in a political sense, and I hope that you see this too. If you're a Bernie Sanders fan and you're thinking, oh, how could he endorse Joe Biden? He was just talking bad about him. He was maybe founded or unfoundedly saying he was a bad person for doing this, or anything like that. It's something that just has to happen. When there are only two political parties in a country, you have to be a party united to take on another party. If you are a party splintered, then it's going to be the party that you're going against, and it's going to be two different factions, and that will usually get knocked out by the larger faction. So that's basically a long way of saying Bernie Sanders endorses Joe Biden. It's something that has to happen in the political sense. If you don't agree with it, I would say, if you are not a fan of the current president, I think it is something that has to be done. And I think you need to find a way to be okay with this. Because if you're trying to change something, you can't have, it's like, let's see, what is this? It's like going cold turkey. While a lot of people do this, maybe diets or smoking or anything like that, that's probably not the best way to do it. You can't go from a conservative to a very liberal. I believe that there has to be an in-between, or steps to get you to what you want. So I believe that when Bernie Sanders endorses Joe Biden, if you are a Bernie Sanders fan, I would say, and again, this is my opinion, I would say do the same thing too, because if you go from conservative and then you get moderate, as a moderate winning the election, maybe the next time it is going to edge in the way for going to liberal, or vice versa. It's very hard to see a polarizing view, because you have a president who is extremely popular with his fans. It's I hope I'm not getting lost in all of this here, but it's going to be a very tough road unless you do work together. So if you are part of the Democratic Party, work together. You have a few months to talk to others who maybe are Joe Biden fans. You have the ability to just reach out to make it right and then to move forward. But again, that's my opinion. That's how I see things working. If you want to have your candidate or party succeed, this is just something you have to do. Alright guys, this has been just something where I pressed record and I just started recording. The other the videos in the future are going to be more concise, and I hope you check it out. If you have any questions or want to begin a dialogue with myself or anybody, put it in the comment section below. You can like this video, you can applaud it, that really helps me out here, and subscribe and hit the bell so you can be notified whenever I have a video out. And don't forget, it's not only going to be political commentary, it is going to be everything that you've seen on this channel before. So, thank you guys for watching, And I'll see you next time.